raise your hand if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if the volume's too loud. Raise your hand if the volume's not loud enough. Wait, it can't be both. I saw 2 hands go back up there. Well, hopefully this is okay for everyone. Welcome to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park Africa Tram. My name is Sophie. I'm going to be your guide for the next 25 minutes as we go around and meet different animals from the African continent, as well as some here in our own backyard in San Diego County. How's everyone doing? Are you guys excited to see some animals?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Nice. Well, before we get a little too excited, we're going to go over some safety real quick. Ooh, look at this beautiful antelope on your left-hand side. That is a Nyala, but that's the male. You can see some of the females back there. They look totally different. As you look at the Nyala, go ahead and look up also, because on the ceilings you're going to see some yellow strips. These are for medical emergency. If you or someone in your party is having a medical emergency, please press and hold them to get my attention here inside the cabin. For my friends directly behind me in the first cart, you guys already noticed that there are no yellow strips up there. Look down. There's nothing there. You guys don't have any yellow strips whatsoever. You're on your own. Just kidding. You can tap on the window, wave at me, or ask the folks in the middle cart to press and hold the strips for you. Look at that cheetah. Wow, lots of activity this morning. And look, he's so happy to see you. He's just savoring each moment while you drive by. That is, of course, the South African cheetah. If you drop any items overboard, that is not a medical emergency. Please do not interrupt the tour for any dropped items. Instead, let us know at the end of our journey and we will do our best to retrieve them for you. That is, of course, if the vultures don't get to it first. So hold on tight to all your belongings. Last but certainly not least, please stay seated at all times while the vehicle is moving. Keep all body parts inside the vehicle at all times. Once we come to a complete stop, you are more than welcome to stand up and look around. Just don't go anywhere. And I do ask that everyone on board please be mindful of all the wildlife surrounding us. If any of the wildlife or plant life comes into contact with the tram, please do not reach over and grab them. A lot of the animals out here also have very sensitive hearing and are sensitive to loud noises. So I do ask that from now on we lower our volume. Think of it like an outdoor library. Because if we are too loud, we cannot stop near the animals. So do with that information what you will. And although we are getting a pretty good view of some African savannas here on the left-hand side and the marshlands on the right, we're actually going to head over into South Africa first. We will be coming back through here, so all of these animals we'll see on our way back around the loop. As we make our way over to South Africa, it's going to be a long flight, so let's go over some of our park's history as we kind of reach the perfect altitude levels here. We first opened our doors to the public in 1972. That was 52 years ago. And although we've only been here for 52 years, our sister zoo, the San Diego Zoo in Balboa Park, has been around for over 108 years. And together we are known as the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. Together we have 8 conservation hubs all around the world that help us keep track of different animal species, their habitats, and their surrounding cultures. Hubs like the ocean, the Arctic, or even the rainforest. But today, as we travel through the African tram path, we're going to learn about 3 major ones. The Savannah Hub, the African Forest Hub, and the Southwestern Hub, which is here in San Diego. And one of the first animals we're going to talk about is none other than the vulture that you see on your left-hand side. Now that we're stopping here, you are more than welcome to stand up to get a better view. Vultures all around the world, not just in Africa, have a very important job. And that is that they are the cleanup crew of the savanna and of any habitat, really. There's 3 different species of vultures here. Right in the middle, there's the lappet-faced vulture, which is brown with a pink bald head. There's also the Ruppel's vulture, which is black and white with a fuzzy gray head. And then the cream-colored ones, those are Cape vultures. And I believe there's only one Cape vulture in here. The rest are in a different habitat nesting. But vultures oftentimes get mistaken for either really evil-looking critters, dirty, and just downright mean. But the truth is far from that, because not only are they super clean, they're also incredibly intelligent and social animals. They're very social birds. And they are what we call a keystone species, meaning that without them, our ecosystem would not be able to survive. They eat carrion, which is just a really fancy way of saying dead. And these dead things, they can attract a lot of pests like bugs, rats that carry disease and bacteria. So by keeping everything clean, they keep all of us safe. And like I said, that goes for all vultures around the world, not just in Africa. Like here in California, we have the California condor, the turkey vulture, which oftentimes you'll see flying around here all the time, and the black vulture. And you might not know this, but back in 1980, there were only about 20 California condors left. They almost went extinct, folks. And it was because of lead poisoning. Hunters were using lead bullets. And when they would shoot one of the animals, or one of the game animals out there, and they wouldn't come and pick it up, well, what do vultures eat? Dead things. So they would come down and eat and ingest all of that lead from the lead bullets, and it would ultimately cause their death. Well, we work with friends like VulPro, helping all of these vultures around here. And nowadays, we just hatched our 250th California condor chick recently, and they've been doing a lot better. We released them back into their native habitat up north, and they're stable at the moment, but they're still endangered. Now check this out. Now friends, this is one of those animals where I am going to ask you guys to please do not yell at them or speak too loudly. The rhinos. And there's also baby antelope on your left, as you can see. There's the Ellipsan waterbuck. They have 2 babies with them right now. But the 2 rhinos that you see here on your left, their names are Arthur and Mowezi. Now, Arthur and Mowezi, they are juveniles. They are 4 years old, so they're out here by themselves. There's no other rhinos in this habitat because they're learning how to become adult males. Oh, and look how hard it is to be an adult male rhino here in the savannah. He has to lay down after a long morning of work. That was Arthur. The one on the left is Mowezi. Or is it the one on the right? I don't know. I can't tell them apart. But we're trying to mimic what would happen in their native habitat, which is they leave. They leave the nest in order to find other single rhinos out there, just like them, around the same age, so that they can make new baby rhinos. And this promotes genetic diversity, which is very important for the survival of all species. And southern white rhinos specifically are so important to our conservation history. We've been lucky enough to be able to breed over 200 of them here at the safari park. And thankfully, they're the least endangered of the rhino species. But unfortunately, their closest relative, the northern white rhino, is not doing very well. Do you guys know how many northern white rhinos are left in the entire world? Yeah, put your hands up a little higher so everyone in the back can see you. Yep, there are only 2 northern white rhinos left in the entire planet. And they are both female. They're mother and daughter. They live in Kenya at the Old Paheta Conservancy Center. And because they are the last 2 females, that makes them functionally extinct, meaning they can no longer reproduce. But we have another facility here at the park known as the Frozen Zoo. And at the Frozen Zoo, we have over 11,000 different species of DNA cryogenically frozen. And our hope is that one day we can create an embryo of the northern white rhino and use a southern white rhino as a surrogate mother. Now check out the antelopes that you see on your left-hand side. All the way in the back where the hills kind of start, there's a white antelope with really cool looking horns. That is a scimitar horned oryx. We'll get a closer look at them once we get to that side. There's also the eland right below. And then closest to the middle, there's the springbok, which is a gazelle antelope. And then there's this gray colored one right over here with a black and white on its face and those stripes and the horse-like tail. That is a hemsbok. It's also known as a South African oryx. So it is a cousin to that scimitar horned oryx. And then at the feeding trough over here, those are sable antelope, and the rest of their herd is over here. Now, do you guys notice something peculiar about the one in the middle here laying down? It's the same size, but its horns are about twice as big, and it's a lot darker than the other sable antelope. Why do you guys think that is? That is the male sable antelope. Isn't he handsome? He just got here a few days ago. And it looks like the ladies really took a liking to him. I know it doesn't look it because they're all kind of just staring off into space, but this is for a reason. Do you guys notice how they're all looking in a different direction, even though they're just kind of hanging out? This is known as an alert circle. And although it might not look like a literal circle to us, they have a 360-degree view of the entire savanna. So they're going to be able to keep an eye out for any predators that might be in the area. And one of them is looking towards the giraffes here on your left. Everybody, I want you to meet the Maasai giraffe. The Maasai giraffe is the largest species of giraffe out there, which makes them the tallest animal in the world. And at such heights, it comes with a lot of responsibility. You notice that there's also a really dark giraffe, kind of like that sable antelope. Well, that is Gowon, and Gowon is the male. He is a whopping 19 feet tall, almost 20 feet. And the reason why he's so much darker than the rest is because, same as the sable antelope, he has really high levels of testosterone. That hormone, which our bodies produce as well, is going to give him that dark colored coat to keep predators away, as well as other male giraffes. In turn, it'll of course attract all the lady giraffes because they just love their men tall, dark, and handsome, just like Gowon. So he does have a lot of success with the ladies. And after a few dates, 18 months go by and a baby giraffe is born. And yes, you heard that correctly, 18 months gestation, a little over a year and a half of pregnancy. Well, at such heights, I was saying it comes with a lot of responsibility. 20 feet can get you really far. Giraffes can see up to 4, maybe 5 miles in the distance. And that's going to help them keep an eye out for predators that are further away. So if you ever see a giraffe running, you need to start running too, because they can see danger about 5 miles before it gets to you. And a lot of the animals out here use them as a reference, a security tower, if you will. So if they see the giraffe running, they're going to take off without even questioning. And that, my friends, makes the giraffe a keystone species, just like the vultures we talked about earlier. Because without them, their ecosystem would not be able to thrive. We're passing the Cape buffaloes here on your left, and we're actually going to make our way over to Central Africa at the moment. Keep an eye on the left-hand side for some more rhinos. This one, this pair is the female pair, Alice and Hazina. There they are in the middle. And there's also zebras here, so keep an eye out for them. Some wildebeest that are fairly new to this habitat. Some roan antelope and Ugandan cob and a green tractor. So keep an eye out for those things. Oh, here come the wildebeest on your left. And once we get to the very top, we'll talk a little bit more about our next habitat, which is the African forest and the Southwest. So sit back, relax, enjoy the view, and I will talk to you in just a little bit. Now that we're here on top of the world, we have a pretty excellent view of the valley down below, Central Africa, of course, South Africa all the way down there. And on the right-hand side, it's the African forest, but it doesn't look like much of the critters are out. I see a few red antelope back there, but they're kind of tucked away, hard to see here. But you'll notice that it's very lush, lots of trees and water up here. The African forest is very diverse, so it has a lot of different plants, like the thorn trees that you see out there, and lots of water. So these marshlands in the forest, they can be difficult to live in, and especially if you are an antelope, because your number one predator there is going to be a leopard or a lion. So these antelope, like the red lechwe that you see on the right hand side, are that dark orange color in order to blend in, because red against green is nearly invisible to the predator eye. They are red-green colorblind, like some humans are. So it's a little bit harder for them to see those prey animals. So that's an adaptation, a great adaptation based on their appearance. On your left-hand side, there's a roan antelope snoozing underneath that date palm, but there's also some Ugandan kob as we kind of make our way back down the hill here. These Ugandan kob are the national animal of Uganda, hence the name. And they are very revered. They are on their money. So all the bills, they have their faces printed on them as well as carved onto coins. How many of you guys are visiting from out of town, out of San Diego? One person, nice. Well, since it's your first time here in San Diego, I'm assuming, or maybe your second or third time, you might have not been familiar with our native habitat, which is all around us here in these hills. You'll find plants like, of course, cactus and succulents, sage, sumac, buckwheat, chia seeds. And all of these plants compose what we call the chaparral, or the coastal sagebrush habitat. And it's not just home to us, it's also home to many different kinds of wildlife out here, like the mule deer, rattlesnake, coyote, mountain lion. They all call this place their home. And look, anyone want some tequila? Look at all this agave growing on the right-hand side. Unfortunately, our beautiful chaparral is very endangered. We are the second most endangered native habitat in the United States, right after the Hawaiian forest. So we have to take real good care of it, again, not just for us, but for the wildlife. We all call this place our home. So, and our motto here at the park is, when one life thrives, we all thrive. And that includes plant life. We are not just a zoo, we are a botanical garden. We take care of over 50,000 different species of plants, some that are even extinct in their native habitat. And like I said, in that frozen zoo, we not only have genetic material of animals, we also have countless of seeds. We're passing the Cape Buffalo once again on your left-hand side, folks. There's also the Nile lechwe there. Those antelope that are tricolored. They're like dark brown with lighter brown on the chest and neck area. And as we kind of go around the corner here, we'll be entering North Africa just before we head back to East Africa. And I did see some of the oryx out here, so hopefully they're still there. Ooh, the giraffes are doing a beautiful tower on the left-hand side with that alert circle. They're all kind of looking around. There's another Nyala, like the one that we saw earlier on our tour. There's the eland, of course, on their left, which is the largest antelope out here. It can weigh up to 2,600 pounds. But I want to talk about the oryx on the right-hand side. So the oryx, it can go its entire lifetime without having a single sip of water. And they live in the desert, of course, in northern regions of Africa. So they've adapted to just survive licking the dew off their pelts every single morning. It makes me thirsty just thinking about it. But these guys almost became extinct. About 24 years ago, there were only a few left here at the safari park. and nowhere else in the world. They were declared extinct in the wild. And it took us about 20 years, but we were able to breed over 600 of them here, thanks to a few other conservation facilities around the world. And some of them even made it back to their native habitat not that long ago. Well, nowadays, I have good news. They are no longer extinct in the wild. There's a healthy population thriving in northern Africa now, in Chad. And they are now just endangered, which is an amazing feat in conservation. And all of that hard work that we did, folks, would not be possible without you guys. Seriously, simply by coming in through one of our 2 front doors, whether it's here at the Safari Park or the San Diego Zoo in Balboa Park, you guys are making such a huge difference in the lives of these animals. And we cannot do any of this work without you. So really, thank you. And if you're wondering how you can continue to be an ally for wildlife even when you go home today, it's super easy. Are you ready? Continue learning about your favorite animal. That's it. That's all you have to do. Because when you do, you never know who you're going to inspire with your fun facts about the giraffes or the rhinos or gorillas. And that person might be inspired to come and see them for themselves. And the cycle repeats itself, and then we have new allies for wildlife. And it's the best thing that you can do for us. And would you look at that? We made it back safe and sound to East Africa. On your left-hand side, you might find some ground hornbills, some saddle-billed storks, and some crowned cranes. There's also some local birds like the white pelicans over there. They came from the bay, or the seagulls, some crows, maybe even some turkey vultures up on the trees. If you missed the cheetah, now it's going to be on your left-hand side. So keep an eye out for some spots out there. Of course, the South African cheetah is the fastest animal on land, running speeds of 70 miles per hour. But do we know what the fastest animal ever is? It's still alive. And it's a bird. It lives here in our own backyard, and it's the peregrine falcon. They can hit diving speeds when they're flying of up to 260 miles per hour. Isn't that incredible? Some rhinos there on the right-hand side, including Casey, which is Alice's mom that we briefly saw coming up into Central Africa back there. And there's also a different kind of giraffe over here, the East African giraffe. Now, if you guys want to go see them up close, it looks like they're making their way over to the watering hole. There's also a bunch of rhinos and wildebeest over there. The watering hole has this viewing platform up there. It's amazing, so definitely go check that out before you leave today. And it connects you to the Tiger Trail, which is just a fun way to go around the park without having to go up a hill or up the stairs or elevator. And you can see the baby tigers while you're up there. Well, my friends, it looks like we reached the end of our journey together. I do hope you enjoyed your time here with me as we ventured out through different parts of Africa. If y'all have any questions about any of the animals that we saw here today, feel free to come up and talk to me. Once again, my name is Sophie. I was your driver and your guide today. If you did not like the tour, my name is Emily. It was so nice to meet you all. I'll be at the very front of the tram station. Once we do come to a complete stop, please exit the same way you came in over on the right-hand side only. You'll be able